Attorney, do we need to read anything into the record at this time?
Not at this time.
Okay, at this time, we'll go into a recess in the closed session then. All right, we're back out of closed session. At this point, we'll go to a call to order and roll call, please.
Certainly. Please state your name for the record from the members from the City of Colton.
Frank Navarro.
Isaac Suchel.
Thank you. Members from the City of Loma Linda.
Dusty Brigsby.
Bill Duper.
Thank you. A member from the County of San Bernardino, 4th District.
Kurt Hagen.
Thank you. And members from the City of San Bernardino.
John Valdivia.
Theodore Sanchez.
And Bessane Richard.
Thank you very much.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to open the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Mayor Valdivia.
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That gotta be the most patriotic we've ever
Okay, takes us to item number E, items to be added or deleted.
No item, sir.
Okay. Item F, conflict of interest disclosure. Mayor, City of Colton, do we have a conflict somewhere?
Yes, I do on item 7. Thank you.
I also have a conflict on that, so we would have to be excused from item number 7. Number G, informational items.
Yes.
2A.
Yes, so I wanted to give a brief update on our Mountain View project. Of course, we talked about that at length at our prior meeting. Just wanted to advise you that the utility relocation work, the first activity there is the undergrounding of the high-pressure gas line on the east portion of the street. That's the Redlands side. We are bracing to start that work at the end of the month in coordination with the Redlands Passenger Rail Project. We will keep you and the public apprised once the final dates for road closures are established. We're working that out with the jurisdictions, but that still is the plan of attack there. In addition, with our partnership with the City of Loma Linda and the ability to have secured the Caltrans $1 million grant for the on and off ramps, happy to report that that widening work is underway. So thank Jarb again for me when you see him. And that is a welcome addition to the overall project. So working with our team here at IVDA, we do have a project web update once the road closures go live. So we will be putting that active and out to all of you. So if you get questions from the public, you'll be able to point them to the IVDA website at the end of the month when all of this gets going. In addition to that, I would like Ms. Pritchett to give us a quick personnel update. She's had a busy month or two here, so Kat, if you would.
Thank you. Good afternoon. It has been a busy month on the personnel side. In July, we did introduce our new property manager, Daryl Hale. In August, we regrettably announced 2 upcoming farewells from the IVDA team. Our accountant 2, Amber Foley, has accepted a position closer to home. Her last day will be next Tuesday. And in addition, our esteemed Director of Finance, Bill Garay, announced his retirement late last month, and his final day with the agency is this Friday. His position has been posted publicly. We anticipate it closing September 13th, and we will keep the board informed as the recruitment process proceeds. If you have no questions, that concludes my report.
Have any questions? Seeing none, moving to the next item.
Okay, so at the last meeting, Co-Chair Popescu requested that we provide some additional information on an upcoming opportunity regarding the Canton Fair. This takes place in Guangzhou, China, and we've got quite a bit of material in the board item here. I have reached out, of course, refresher, the IVDA has been the proud recipient of a foreign trade zone designation since 1996. And regrettably, with our work with the Port of Long Beach, we have had very little activity in utilizing the FTZ. Part of that was some of the red tape of the program over the years, but many of our neighbors have benefited from foreign trade zone activities in the commercial industrial arena. And Pep Boys heretofore has been the only major tenant that has activated within the FTZ. In talking to Department of Commerce, the tail end of this fair, and it's a very lengthy fair, but it is extremely well attended, is a unique opportunity to promote foreign trade zone benefits in our Inland Empire region. The way it works currently with the foreign trade zone is we now operate under what's called a service area program, which pretty much opens up the entire East Valley and all of the property throughout the county back to the Port of Long Beach. So anybody in that sphere going all the way from Alabama back to the Port of Long Beach could invest and activate a foreign trade zone or bonded warehouse. The benefit of working with a grantee like IVDA is it saves a lot of time and money. So our endorsement and approval with the Port of Long Beach really expedites that. Commerce did look favorably on IVDA having at least a presence, and suggested that we at least bring this before you to see about sending a delegation in late October. And I know the mayor has certainly done research on this, so if you had any other insights, please.
Well, Mr. Burrows, I'm very appreciative for the work that you're doing here, and to complement our mission, and that mission is to plug the vacuum of the absence of Norton Air Force Base. So with that, what do you need from us on this? Is this just information?
So this is information, and
Okay.
particularly if there's interest in assembling a delegation. I know that you have expressed
Yeah, I'd like
interest
to be
in
going to that, yeah.
participating. If there's other IVDA members, Department of Commerce suggests, as I did, that would be coupled with some local businesses here within the IVDA project, and we could pair those and then get feedback to each of you on that. But costs are fairly nominal. We do have a budget allocation for this, and we have time to do it and do it properly. So
Very good.
it's the end of October, or the beginning of October here. The key area for attendance would be that early part of October would be the industry side that I think has the most benefit, because they break out each week in different industry clusters, and that would be where we'd be targeted. So,
Any other questions or comments on this? I have a question, though. If I was reading the staff report, we have to be invited to this, correct?
so no, you express interest in attending, and then they give you an invitation letter. That's part of the visa process, and that would be something we didn't initiate quickly. So particular members with interest, I'll reach out to each of you, and we'll assemble that as well as the business community. And we need to do it quickly, but we do have time to do so.
Okay, I would like to be included in that,
Sure.
that discussion. Thank you.
Okay.
At this point, I'd like to turn the meeting over to Supervisor.
Go ahead, you're already running it, go ahead.
Without any further questions, I'll go to H on the agenda, board consent items. Number 3, please.
Move for approval on all items? I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve all items. Any discussion or? Mayor, tomorrow.
Consent calendar.
This is consent number H.
Okay, I'm fine.
Seeing none, that's so moved. Go to I, board action items, number 7. Mr. Burrows.
Okay, so I believe we've got a couple of members that wanted to recuse themselves.
Yes.
Right.
So if our co-chair could take the mic, not this mic, that mic.
All right, item number 7, which is to approve the form of a development agreement with SBD Corporate Center 2 LLC, and I will ask Mr. Burrows to please be so kind as to make this item's presentation.
Okay, I want to get the site exhibit up here just to get everybody's bearings. I mean, we've talked about this one a few times, but quite a bit of work's been put into this, and I just want to recap. So the property that we're dealing with here today is a separate parcel in and of itself. So as you've already heard, plenty of acronyms around a closed military base. This used to be the Defense Finance and Accounting Service. They did all the bookkeeping for the armed forces when the base was here. And as the base was closing, in fact, they were still here. They invested heavily in the first building, which is the one on the north. as well as the third building, which is just to the south of that yellow line. The second building, they never really did anything with. They barely used it for storage as they were operating, so it needed a substantial amount of work. Thankfully, we've been able to receive fee title to the property. We were able to secure a number of Department of Commerce grants to improve a lot of the deficiencies. So complete seismic retrofit, abatement demo of all the lead and asbestos paint, and core and shell improvements, so parking lot and the bit. But the building right now is just a shell. The other thing that we've had to contend with this site is its location. So it happens to be in a safety area under our land use compatibility guidelines with our state of California Department of Aeronautics permit for the airport itself. So this is right at the end of the runway. It doesn't mean we can't utilize the building for its intended purpose, but it does put some restrictions on the density of uses that we can place in the building itself. Fortunately, this property is a two-story office. It's got a large basement and quite a bit of potential for reuse. But for instance, if we wanted to put a school or a daycare center or even a call center, those types of uses have a lot of people focused in one place at one time, and that's what the state of California says you ought not to do that close to the end of a runway. Whereas the first building, where we do have tenants, is just outside of it. So it gives us a lot more latitude. And that's why we have, over time, worked in putting shorter-term tenants in there. And as the airport and the region grow, as those leases mature, it retains an option for us to put additional aviation-related companies on our front doorstep. I mean, this is our hope and dream, in the base closure process, is that we're able to bring some of those aeronautically focused, engineering and research and development tenants back to the property. But the market's just not quite here yet, or at least hasn't been. Where we've been working after a solicitation for a development partner is a number of potential tenants. And happy to say that the team of Gian Torkin and Frank Schnetz have been very creative, very patient, and very thorough, thankfully, in looking at reuse potential for this property. And we're happy to say that we found a real reuse potential. The end user that we have identified is the San Bernardino County Fire Protection District, and an opportunity to consolidate all of their administrative functions in a new headquarters facility. Under the terms of the proposed agreement that we have here, and I do want Gian Frank to come up and make some comments if that pleases the board, this deal actually would provide a stream of income to the IVDA on the property, while reducing overhead responsibilities, because the actual structure is a lease purchase agreement over a 25-year term. The SBD Corporate Center 2 LLC that the gentlemen have formed would be the customer in this, and then they would have a lease with the San Bernardino County Fire District. At the end of the term of that lease, the fire district has the ability to own the property. So at the end of 25 years, the district actually has the actual completed product. However, the district is agreeing to actually fund all the necessary tenant improvements, and there are substantial improvements that need to be done while providing the actual stream of payments to the IVDA. SBD Corporate Center 2 will have all of the maintenance responsibilities. They'll pay all the taxes, do all the insurance, upkeep, wear and tear, replacements on the property. IVDA, at the end of the day, gets their check. The actual structure is initial payment of $2.6 million, and then a stream of installment payments over the 25 years at $150,000. We did have the property appraised. It is a challenge to appraise the shell of a building, and our appraiser arrived at a total value of land and buildings of just over $4 million. The face value of this transaction is over $6.3 million, but since we're taking the payments over time, I think to Mayor Rigsby's point, you need to do a present value calculation on that. That nets us just over $4.8 million. So we're getting above book value and above market value, plus a creditworthy tenant that provides services to our airport and our region.
Madam Chair, I'd like to move the item for approval.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. At this time, I would like to ask Mr. Schnetz and Mr. Torkin if they'd like to come and say a few words relative to this project. If not, that's not an issue. Oh, very wise.
Wow.
All right. Okay, I have a motion. I have a second. Any additional comments? Any opposition? Hearing none, it is so ordered. Congratulations, this is another bit of a milestone. This is a great opportunity for us to continue on our quest and be able to bring to fruition our long-term, how should I say, goals. With that, I am going over to item number 8. Item number 8 is to consider and discuss the updated action plan for the Inland Valley Development Agency through December 31st, 2019. And Mr. Burrows.
So you just heard a brief update on the 2 phases of Mountain View. And again, that is one of our largest capital projects for this fiscal year. And very important that we time it appropriately around the Redlands Passenger Rail project. So very pleased with Mr. Harris and the team for keeping that ball moving. Going into September, and you'll see this with all of your successor agency entities, that's the time everybody's teeing up to do the wonderful annual ROPS process. And, it's strange the timing of Bill's retirement here. I don't know why he's leaving before the next ROPS, but you certainly earned the right, sir. But we are on track to meet that time frame. In addition, for our Department of Commerce colleagues, we are required to do just an annual update to the comprehensive economic development strategy that we do each year. And Ms. Beltran and the project team are on track to have that done. I am also continuing discussions as directed with our members on the IVDA information and getting individual input on priorities and objectives and questions about IVDA. So you will continue to hear from me throughout the dais here. So fair warning, anyhow. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Questions? I have a question, just very briefly. I noticed that presentation after presentation relative to the action plan, there seems to be a bit of a ditto. You do focus on a different, relative to the month, on a different key initiative, and I speak to the key resources. However, it does seem to be a bit mundane. Is there another way we could do this? Is the board satisfied with how this is being delivered? Is there anything additional that the board members would like to see, or a different presentation? No? All right.
Once a month trip to foreign places to look at.
I can sing. Not really, but I could try. I can sing.
We'll pass. We'll pass. We'll probably throw money at you to quit. So.
Madam
Indeed.
Chair, I do have a suggestion.
Yes, Supervisor.
And I spoke to Mike a little bit earlier about this. I'm very curious to see the technologies that are coming, either passenger, cargo, or drone. And we have a number of great business partners with us within San Bernardino Inland Valley that are leaders in those industries. And maybe if we have a light agenda at some point, maybe they could come in and give a little firsthand knowledge what's going on with their world and how their perspective is. We are greatly affected by international agreements and the tariffs and things like that, to have perspectives on that maybe. And so you could have if you have a gap, fill in with some in-depth look at something, and then possibly maybe host or be part of something for that newer input to bring more light on this airport and its development area by hosting something maybe once every 6 months and inviting other people to come and present their wares and powers to be. So I think it's a great opportunity for the aviation industry to come use our facilities and the surrounding area, because they may not know what's here for them.
It's great
That's-
feedback.
That's, I think that is very interesting, a very good opportunity for us to explore. Being that this item is just a consider and discuss, receive and file, I will take it as that, and I will ask at this time that if there is a consensus that we give direction to the executive director to bring back an item in which we can discuss and begin to identify what new technological interests and venues and business providers, service providers that are interested in perhaps helping us to create a new direction, a new opportunity relative to including modern technology and IT services and opportunities for this agency.
Absolutely.
Is
Welcome
there
the
a
opportunity.
consensus on that? Seems to be consensus. That is the direction. Any, at this time, is there anyone from the public wishing to come forward and speak on an item that is on or off the agenda but relative to this agency? Seeing no one, I will close the public comment, come back to board member comments. Board members, any comments? Hearing none, at this time, this meeting is adjourned to our next meeting on Wednesday, September 11th at 3 o'clock. Thank you very much.